Hi, it's Joanne. Today we're watching Only Murders in the Building, Season 4, Episode 7, Valley of the Dolls. And our beloved trio have run. I'm stressed, but I am loving this season, as I always love this show. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go.
You're breaking up with Loretta? I've never seen someone worse at being in a happy relationship.
Mabel, so I'm ripping off the band-aid and take my heart with it.
I mean, even if he does break up with her, I feel like she would just message him and be like, what the fuck, Oliver? Like, I mean, okay, she probably wouldn't say that. But she'd say, you know, like, Oliver, I was in a full prosthetic, like, not prosthetic, but I was, like, in bandages. I couldn't speak. I don't know how she managed to answer the phone. But regardless, like, it wasn't my fault because I didn't do that while I was editing because I was really stupid. That I just, like, why on earth be seeing some random person in a hospital bed? Okay. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I'm smart. It's fine. Like, this wouldn't, even if he breaks up with her, she'd probably be cross with him for not believing in her, but I don't know, maybe she needs to know how insecure he's been.
Could be tracking our movements. Turn off your phone.
Oh, you're right. Bye, Howard. Oliver, turn it off.
Okay, fine. Devastating text sent.
Oliver!
Hey, Doreen. I don't like saying this about my own flesh and blood, but she can be very...
I didn't think I even knew he had siblings. I thought he was an only child with some of his flashbacks, maybe from a remarriage or something.
Well, look who finally decided to show up for Thanksgiving.
So she likes dolls. Valley of the Dolls makes sense, yep.
Where's Big Mike? We could use a cop around here.
Well, I kicked him out again. He's living on the boat in the driveway. One too many nights it came. You're gonna need it. I want you dry. I'm
scared. I don't blame you. I mean, as long as she's happy, that's what truly matters.
Can you catch us up on this gorgeous doll remind you of anyone? Braids, porcelain skin, cute little set of...
Oliver,
Borrowing your toolbox.
I found you! Finally! I have left you so many
Oh my
messages.
god.
Good thing Howard knew where you were.
place to work that isn't filled with dolls. I mean, it's so creepy. Beth Melon?
So hungry. Ugh, that's gross. I need something substantial.
You can't just walk into this
You know what?
house.
I think
What is my life?
Right now, it's not at its shiniest or best.
my signature cocktails. Okay? Let me just behind you. I almost got it.
You're married, woman.
Here we go.
It's also... I'm simply too emotionally available.
Oh my god, Oliver. It's your insecurity that's the downfall here.
Actors, what are you doing here?
Howard,
Oh,
I escaped the hospital to come here.
go back to the hospital and
Please.
for you guys, I need some quiet.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Putman! Oh, let yourself in.
Loretta!
I poured my heart out to you on the phone and you went, ugh,
When did this happen?
yesterday.
She didn't even hear.
A day that will live.
I don't think you're ugh. I think you're...
As long as they're happy.
Why are you always mad at me?
They do not have a very good relationship.
Wait.
Oh, with Jill, she's Victorian.
I'm with Mabel. Let's just get our work done.
Checking out the semen. Could I talk to you for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Please distract the actors and everybody else so Mabel can work.
Sorry, it's just think you can take them out to play or distract them with your keys.
Okay. Fuck you, TV actor. You know my work? Let me sum up the quote.
Well, you really have no idea about the breadth of our skill set here.
Of everybody jerking me around.
Nobody's jerking anybody around.
Yeah, I think people are. Ow!
Doreen!
I mean, Charles' sister needs therapy
Rejected
quite
by my
badly.
husband and being rejected.
Poor thing. But you can't blame her for being attracted to Oliver Putnam. You are.
She was a little bit, like, not worrying about consent with Oliver. Assuming the consent was there when it wasn't.
Is to find yourself.
You're Ronnie?
That is so creepy, Oliver.
No. I told her things.
And she appreciated all of them.
Oliver, see, that was just... It was a huge invasion of privacy, and I'm glad she knows he did it now, so that she can tell him...
So
When you list them all in a row like
I need a
that.
minute.
Yes. You've got some making up to do, Oliver. Apologies and explaining. Like, I think less slamming the piano and saying fuck, more explaining what your emotional state was and why you did these stupid things.
And anyone who feels is crazy. I mean, maybe he's not crazy. Maybe he's just emotional.
He's definitely was acting on his emotions, but you can be emotional and not creepy. And stalking people is creepy. Making a fake Instagram account to, like, it's bad enough to make a fake Instagram account just to, like, if you want to follow her and see what she's up to, but that's just wrong. But he not only did that, he made one and then he talked to her, and then when she clearly thought this was a real person and possibly, like, her first proper fan, like, on the, who knows, I mean, again, she's amazing, but she's not got, like, a huge role. She's a smallish part on her show. So, like, it might be the first time anyone was ever reaching out to her and connecting with her and supporting her in that way. And it was her boyfriend being sneaky. Not to mention just how creepy it is to creep around someone's back like that. Like, she has a right to be upset with Oliver about this. Now, the way for Oliver to try and get out of the situation or not lose her to the situation is to explain the irrational thoughts in his mind about why he did it. Because if he was being emotional, he would be texting her all the time. He would be calling her. He would be messaging her and saying, I know this is really irrational, but I'm just really worried about who that guy is in your picture. I know, how stupid is that? You know, like, he could just be honest and emotional. So this excuse of people are just emotional, they're not crazy. I mean, I don't really like calling people crazy, but, like, you still don't have to do what he was doing.
You know, I don't need you throwing your rich bitch shit in my face.
You need to calm.
At this point, I'm like, is the sister the killer? She's angry at Charles for not being in her life and making other people in his life, so she's gonna kill him.
Calm down.
Oh my god!
What is going on? What is...
Stop this.
Yes, what is going on?
No need to fight over
I am a little bit like, what? Did they just have an episode that, like, they plotted out their season and they only had 9 episodes of things to have happen, and so this episode is just them throwing everything at the wall? What is going on? Like, there have been a few beats and moments I've been like, yes, but otherwise I'm like, what on earth was that? There is never an excuse for physical violence, and both of them doing it.
I visit?
Every now and then, but you're never really here, you know?
And you live so
I heard
close.
your podcast.
I think about you a lot.
You've literally
Better about staying
never
in touch
mentioned her
with
before. I don't think, but
I
okay.
like that a lot.
Families can be difficult.
You believe it? Back to business. Hollywood. Who is that fucking woman?
Yeah, a lot of weird people are just in your house.
If you can't handle that flavor of crazy, no one would blame you.
Just don't do it again. Talk to her if you have concerns and doubts.
I knew deep in my heart that you were a lunatic. You must have, by my count, 6.
Giving me a doll's bracelet?
I mean, technically she's stealing it,
Posing
but...
to you.
Okay, well, I'm happy for them. Oh my god, they solved the case or found a breakthrough.
Close to the murder wall, which is like your murder board, but bigger, therefore ours is better.
For starters, we agree. We believe that this mystery did not start with Saz's murder.
Hardy
It all
Boys.
goes back to season 1, which, by the way, has more holes than Zach Galifianakis.
I mean, they're all over this. I studied handwriting when I played Mark Antonio.
I love this. I wonder if they've actually had these, like, plot holes in mind the entire time to come back to, or, I mean, like, these unsolved things, because there were a lot of unsolved things we weren't quite sure about, that we kind of just assumed, well, I guess that's Jan from the beginning, or if it's more people have pointed them out, and so they've been like, okay, let's think of why they make sense.
I'm watching you, just like the text message.
Yeah.
Same person, very good.
And Saz knew all of that.
Yeah.
To her apartment.
I stand corrected. I guess I should have brought you guys in sooner.
Why are you smiling?
Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it's Now this bitch is getting married.
Congrats.
You know, not for nothing. Oh my god. Go forward again.
It's all of the Westies.
Hello? This is Milton Dudenoff.
Whatever a Westie is, Howard says it was all of them.
They know.
They know.
I'm so intrigued. Okay, so I have mixed opinions on this episode. Like, I feel like 20% of it I loved, 80% of it, well, 60% of it kind of take or leave, 20% of, like, yeah, 20% of it, what are you doing? So, like, this was a real, like, which, I mean, the rest of the season have all been hits, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't remember feeling this way about any of the previous episodes, so, like, it's okay. I do feel a bit like when they were plotting out their story, they always have the same number of episodes in a season, and they got to this episode and they were like, okay, so we need Charles and Loretta to, like, patch things up. We need them to figure out about the Dudenoff signatures and that it's potentially all of the Westies. I say potentially because this is only episode 7 and there's 3 episodes left in the season, and that's quite early for us to know who did it. So I do feel like there's going to be more twists in this tale, but at the same time, it could just be proving it, trying to save themselves, like figuring out what's happening. Like it could be a different, we could know already. So I felt, and then like, the actors kind of solving it for them. That's kind of the 3 things I needed to happen in this episode, and that does not take 30 to 45 minutes. That takes 20 minutes at best. So then they needed to pad it out with other stuff. Now, has Charles ever mentioned a sister before? I don't remember it, but given that she'd not been in it before, I could see him of just mentioning her in passing, and my brain just not storing that information because my brain is stupid sometimes. Or was this them inventing that he had a sister because it would be fun to bring in this crazy character, you know, played by a well-loved actress, etc., and kind of have a lot of fun? It just was a bit much, and I don't mean that in the sense of like, I mean that like I feel like they threw a lot of stereotypes at the wall with her. Like her behavior with Oliver was extremely inappropriate, and it wasn't funny to me. It was just inappropriate, and she was old enough to know better. And then like her and Loretta getting into a fight, absolutely unhinged, and like I'm baffled. Like what was that? It makes me look at Loretta very differently because, you know, she didn't need to continue the fight. Like once she'd got herself free with her acting, which I did enjoy that little beat of the fight, I have to say, like then you can just be like, why are you attacking me? What is this? You know, you don't then and continue the fight. It didn't add up to me. Like that's not who Loretta is. And anybody that jumps into physical altercations, even if they weren't hitting each other particularly hard, she still scratched her. Like, it wasn't a great look, and I think they were going for kind of funny, but, and maybe people do find that funny, because I do know that I'm often someone that, like, a lot of, like, mainstream comedy shows are just not for me. But obviously they are for a lot of other people because they wouldn't keep being made otherwise. So it could just be that it's just not my kind of humour, but I feel like it wasn't fitting with Loretta's character, and it just kind of felt out of nowhere. Like, it was weird enough when the sister like was yanking on her plat, let alone that. But so I did, and like having all the dolls and like the cheetah print and the husband who goes to the club, etc. like was a little like much, but I do think it was an interesting insight into Charles in general, him having this much younger sister, and how that kind of relationship isn't always straightforward, how their mother was a difficult person to be around. She wasn't the most motherly of people. I assume that had to do with her husband being a cheating bastard who went to prison. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm like, am I misremembering this? But then I would assume that the sister is from a different person, and given that she made no mention of her father, I guess that was another shit man in the mother's life. I guess that kind of just messed her up a bit, so she wasn't able to be that emotionally available for her children. But it was kind of a nice, yeah, tragic insight into why Charles is the way he is, why he does struggle with his emotions a little bit, why he is so kind of uptight. I think it was done well in that sense. I just think some of it they were trying, like, sometimes I think comedies, dramedies in a way like this, they try to, like, when things that are trying to be comedic, you try too hard to be comedic, and then I can see the beats of you trying to be funny, and then it's like, well, that's not funny. I feel like some of this episode was like that. Um, Loretta and Oliver, I still think if I was Loretta, I would need to have a serious conversation with him about how what he did with the fake Instagram account was beyond wrong, such an invasion of privacy, and just creepy. Like, I don't think it's necessarily, given the wider circumstances of what's going on in their lives and the separate, like, how that, like, where they were, I don't think necessarily she should be breaking up with him. I do think in a lot of other circumstances that should be an immediate red flag breakup, but I would have to have a serious conversation with him about how that just wasn't cool. And she kind of just had a fist fight with Charles's sister and then forgave him instantly, which was odd. Like, I do think forgiving him is okay, I think, in the circumstances with these two characters, with what they're like. But, you know, you just say to him, like, whatever it was that motivated you to make a secret account to spy on me, but not even just to spy on me, but to get close to me and make me think that was a person I'd connected with, just talk to me in the future. Just send me a message, send me an email, if it's like, just contact me and give me, like, what you're going through. But I do like that they're engaged. I think they are well suited for each other, and they're both kind of a little bit out there, a little bit different, but both just passionate people who just clicked instantly. I think they will be happy together, I hope. Trying to think of things before I get to, like, the resolution at the end. Like, all the stuff with Beverly, that was just, we need to feel some time. Okay, we'll have her running around. Oh, now she's drunk. Oh, now she's happy. Like, that was kind of just filling time. Now, the actors turning up, ridiculous, yes, but also it was, like, plot-wise necessary, made sense, because then they were able to come up with this conclusion. They were able to look at things differently. And I think, like, yes, obviously, I love all the jokes about the actors. Like, yeah, they could, sorry about that. Sort of almost yawned and they didn't. They can have a lot of insight into people. They can be quite perceptive people, but also, even if it wasn't the actors, I think anybody assessing the case with fresh eyes, looking at things differently, will be able to spot things more easily. Often when you're trying to solve something, trying to do something, you're looking at it too closely, you've got tunnel vision. They weren't thinking about any of the previous seasons. They weren't bringing any of that in. Because why would they? That's close. We knew who did season 1. That was Jan. That's tick, done. There was no need to go back and to look at things in the past. Whereas people with a fresh perspective, a wider perspective, people who've been reading a script, taking the beats of season 1 as we go, yeah, they're going to see it. So I think that was really well done, and I did enjoy that revelation at the end. And it makes me want to go back and, like, rewatch season 1 to, like, note down anything that I feel like wasn't answered by the Jan thing, and then watch, like, seasons 2 and 3. Were there any more of those, or did season 1 just like, and then I want to know from the writers, did they always intend to come back to this plotline? If the show got renewed past season 1, they would come back to who left the note on Jan's door. They would come back to who poisoned Oliver's dog, because that's brilliant. Could also see it being a little bit of, like, sometimes you put, like, so many things into a mysteries, like red herrings and things, and then you've come up with who did it and you haven't quite solved all those plot holes, and you just, shh, it's fine. And then now they're explaining the plot holes, which is also fine. But, like, I'm just really intrigued to see which one of those two things it is, because I imagine people have been screaming about these plot holes for a very long time. So I liked this episode for those parts. Other parts of the episode probably make editing easier, because there won't be that much to leave in from those parts. I know, I mean, this wasn't a terrible episode, it really wasn't, but I think, like, the rest of this season has just been so good that this one being a bit of a letdown to me is really disappointing, if that makes sense. But there also were some really, really good points. We have that we think it's all of the Westies now, which, yeah, that tracks if they kill Dudenoff to get rent-controlled apartments, and I guess also if they're paying their rent to Dudenoff and then they are Dudenoff, then they're not paying rent at all, and they can get her social security. I guess they murdered him, but we will see. I do think it's going to be fascinating to unravel all of this. Is it them, or did they just happen to murder Dudenoff? And I think it kind of has to be them, because the shot came from the Dudenoff apartment. So I'm just really excited about where the season's going to go. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.